class. Today we're about to learn about Newton's laws of motion. But before we do, we're going to do some quick review of some vocabulary that you should be professionals at already. Follow along in your notes. It's written in blue so that you know that those are the terms that you already know. The terms are force, work, simple machines, and compound machines. First, a force is any of various factors that can cause a body to change its speed, direction, or shape. Work is the transfer of energy from one object to another, especially in order to make that second object move in a certain direction. So think of pool. You hit one ball and it hits another one, causing it to change direction. That is work. A simple machine is a simple device for altering the magnitude or direction of a force. The 6 basic types of simple machine are reel and axle, pulley, screw, wedge, and inclined plane. A compound machine is just a series of simple machines put together to make one bigger machine. So you can think of a bicycle or a pair of scissors. Now here's Miss Trinkle to teach you the first law of Newton's motion.
Newton's first law of motion is called the law of inertia. It simply states every object in a state of uniform motion tends to remain in that state of motion unless an external force is applied to it. In more simple terms, if something is in motion, it will continue to stay in that same rate of motion until an external force acts upon it to either stop it or change its direction. An example of this would be if you were to roll a ball down the street, and it would continue to roll if it did not have friction acting upon it until something were to stop it, slow it down, or change directions. Here's Miss Farrow with your second law of motion.
Hello class, let's learn about the second law of motion. Now remember to keep following along in your notes. Whatever's outlined on the posters is going to be written in your notes. The second of Newton's laws of motion is the most important to understand, and it can be the most difficult. The law states the relationship between an object's mass, m, and its acceleration, a, and its applied force, F, is F equals ma. Acceleration and force are vectors. In this law, the direction of the force vector is the same as the direction of the acceleration vector. So what exactly does that mean? Well, in simpler terms, it just means the greater the mass of an object, the more force is needed to move the object. For an example, we could say that it takes more force for me to push a car that's run out of gas 10 feet than it takes for you to push a wagon to move it 10 feet, because a wagon is much smaller than a car. Here's Miss Trinkle with the third law of motion.
The third of Newton's laws of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So what does this mean? For everything that is done, there is a reaction that happens upon it. For example, if we were to stop off of a boat onto the bank of a lake, as we move towards the shore, the boat is going to move further away from the shore in the opposite direction. That is Newton's third law of motion. Now remember class, tomorrow we are going to explore these 3 laws of motion in experiments. Get excited!